So welcome everyone to our August town hall. We are up to, I believe, 81 or 82 communities in our network, and we just had a few more communities asked to join this week. So we're continuously growing. Our model has changed. If you don't know that yet, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And when I say that, I mean our model for funding communities, how we're bringing money in and how we're giving money out has changed over the last few months. So we'll get into that later. But if you know of any communities that would be able to benefit from being a part of our network, please send them our way. Invite us to your town hall or community calls. We would love to stop in and talk about what Panvala is all about and how we can help support communities in Web3 or non-Web3. So next. So our first spotlight for this month is SINA, or Social Innovation Academy, and we have Esther from Uganda with us to talk about their organization, and they're a sister organization of a community that's in our network, and I'll let her talk about how they're connected. Esther, do you have your mic ready to go?
Yeah, Esther, if you're speaking, nothing's coming through for us. So it shows that you're unmuted, but we're getting nothing. So feel free to troubleshoot on your end, and then we'll come back to you in the next segment.
Okay. Yeah, Esther, just let us know when you're ready to talk. So Dylan's not here yet from Page Dow, so we'll continue on. Next thing I wanted to talk about after that is just some updates. Panvala will be at MCon. If you don't know about MCon or haven't been, it takes place in Denver the first full week of September. So I believe the 6th through the 9th, but Yaler's here so he can talk about that if he likes. The main venue, we are planning on holding something at the main venue as well as a side venue. And the side venue is really for all of our communities to come together, meet each other in real life, which I'm super excited about. So we'll have more details on those two events at MCon as we flesh them out. We do have a stamps orientation coming up August 11th. And this is really great for any community that's not already a part of our network, or that if they're not collecting stamps yet, because we're going to really break everything down so that you understand the process, you know, what it looks like on the stamp collector's end, what it looks like on the sponsor's end. So if you're interested or know anyone else is interested, that's happening in a few weeks. And then lastly with this, this is our current leaderboard. Shenanigans and One Hive are still in the lead for the most people in their community collecting stamps. And I'll just say, if your community hasn't started yet, it's very simple. And we'll go over a new stamp that's available to collect from Logos. But they're just simple actions like signing up for a newsletter or watching a video, and you get a stamp that's worth a certain amount of money that goes straight to your community. So I believe Yaler's here to represent Logos, but Logos is a database of DAOs. They're our newest campaign. So they're sponsoring a stamp. And they have 4 different ways that you can earn a stamp through them. And it totals up to, or can total up to $10.50 and the equivalent of 7 stamps earned. Each one of their stamps is worth $1.50, and depending on the action, you can earn several stamps for that action. So you can do any of the following or all 4 of these actions. It's really up to you. So you can follow them, Logos DAO on Twitter, and that's worth 1 stamp. You can sign up for the Logos DAO newsletter, DAO or Never. That's also worth 1 stamp. You can subscribe to the DAO or Never podcast and listen to the April 29th episode. And that podcast is available on iTunes, Apple Music and Spotify. And that's worth 3 stamps. And then you can rate and review the DAO or Never podcast, and that's worth 2 stamps. And then once you do those actions, you basically fill out a form saying, what you did. And then within a week, we send you this beautiful stamp NFT. And at the end of our quarter, we send your community the funds, all the funds that people sent to you. Actually, I'll stop here. Yeeler, do you want to say anything logos before we continue?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. We're really excited to be using the Panvala stamps. It feels like a great mechanism for bringing audience members into our community. And our goal at Logos is to educate people about the opportunities that are available in DAOs today. So we're creating a DAO Explorer that will allow people to actually onboard themselves into a community. We take community call notes for different projects, and we actually go into communities and collaborate with them as a part of our kind of onboarding strategy. And then the stamps allow us to, the stamps allow us to kind of reward people for taking actions that actually help build the Logos platform. So what we're doing is we're trying to curate the right signals inside of DAOs, like which proposals you should vote on, what's really important, what you need to know. And then we'll also building kind of like a quiz tool that will allow people to rank and rate their favorite DAOs and why they're important and how high or low the activity is inside of them. So the stamps allow us to kind of reward people for that and get people engaged. And we're super stoked to be sending our advertising budget to Panvala community instead of to Facebook marketing.
Thanks, Taylor. Does anyone have any questions about the logo stamp or logos or just how that works?
Yeah, and if you haven't set up your own stamp for your own community, it's really super easy. We got it set up in a couple days, and we've been seeing good results so far. I am wondering if it's okay, like how we could, so we're doing MCon, right? We'll probably have the captive attention of 1,000 to 2,000 people, depending on how many people are watching online. How could we make Panvala stamps kind of front and center so that people who are watching and who are like wanting to get involved could learn about the stamps and start to collect them? Brainstorming here, like.
Well, that's exactly what we were talking about yesterday, actually. And we were, we're definitely open to suggestions, but we did think of maybe having a Logos IRL stamp. So people could, or just any kind of sponsor stamp at MCon.
Oh, like a real stamp that you would stick on something, or like a that's cool, or like a sticker. Like it could be kind of a sticker, right?
It could be both. It could be a sticker that takes you to the form, so then you get the NFT stamp as well.
Mm-hmm. Oh, cool. Is there a way to integrate the NFT claim into the physical sticker so each NFT represents a sticker?
Yes. So we've done this before with a minting code that was kind of like not a unique minting code, but something that you wouldn't know if you never got the sticker to begin with. So that's how we've done it so far. We might iterate on it to make it feel more unique. So it feels like, oh, you got this sticker. So that means you get this particular stamp rather than being able to just share the minting code and then it's unlimited minting once you have the minting code. But that's kind of the model that we have. Like it's a physical thing that you get. And once you have the physical thing, you know the secret now to be able to put into the form to be able to get the NFT behind the scenes. So we've already done that before.
That's really cool. And I think we, all of the Logos team would be really excited to like participate in that. And we could pay for production and shipping of all the stickers or stamps. Like that would be really, really cool. I would love to see that happen. And I want one of those Panvala stamps on my laptop.
Yes, we're going to make it happen.
Oh, sweet. Cool.
The
Yeah,
part that you were talking about. Yeah, we'll definitely follow up with you on that. The part that you were talking about that we haven't thought about is for the people watching on the stream for MCon. That we need to do more thinking about, but I think there's a way to make that happen to make people who are tuning in to, get a feel for MCon, have them know what's going on with stamps. But for the in-person stuff, that's been the focus so far, and we want to make sure that people feel stamps on the other.
Yeah, this is a great opportunity actually, because we have a director and an audiovisual team that's going to be doing full show production. So we could like scroll Panvala stamps across the screen of the live stream before the talks went on and at the end of them. So it's like, want to get involved with different communities? Like, boom, scan this and we could put it up on the screen. And that would be a great way for us to kind of highlight like the stamps that people can collect now and how they can like get involved in the different communities that Panvala is supporting.
We could scroll all of our stamps. What is one big advertisement? All the stamps.
We'll put it on a reel, like a spinning reel, like just long enough for people to scan each one, like boop, 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 boop.
It sounds like the Coinbase Super Bowl commercial.
We'll try to make it sexier than that. That's a little bit underwhelming for me, but apparently it works.
Oh man, I loved that commercial. It was underwhelming, but it was underwhelming. It was beautifully underwhelming. It's like it's just a QR code bouncing around. Let me scan this thing. But
Can
yeah,
you tell me a little bit? Yeah, can you tell me a little bit more about the side event gathering that you're putting together? Is that still in the planning phase, or are there some ideas around that?
So we've got to a final concept that we're going to reach out to you about so we could actually secure some space, but now's a great time to talk about it. We basically want to be able to do basically an experience where people can come in and actually create their own stamps. So basically giving them a feel for basically walking them through the process that you went through with logos, but just in a more creative way where they're either like literally drawing with, colored pencils or something else where they're putting together a stamp where they're trying to thinking of like businesses that they use in Web3 and just coming up with a stamp for them, thinking of e-commerce businesses that they shop at and creating a stamp for them, and then thinking about their favorite business in the city where they're from and like creating a stamp for them, just like basically like arts and crafts, but centered around stamps. So people can get a feel for both the kind of stamps that can be created and then having kind of a redemption experience where it's like, okay, like now put your stamp up on this butcher paper in the right spot that you think for the kind of community that would want to collect the stamp. That second part we're still fleshing out, but it's basically a workshop where it's arts and crafts for creating stamps and then getting a feel for the redemption side of the experience as well.
I think the arts and crafts element is super cool, and I would love to see that done. I can definitely find a space for that type of activity. Maybe we can even if we do put the kids thing together, we could put that together and they could like do some drawings and stuff. We could hang up on the walls. There's some good open space on the third floor. It's probably going to be a little bit more quiet up there too, so it's not so crazy. So yeah, get at me as soon as possible so I can put together the tables, the tablecloths, and then I'll leave it to you guys to get butcher paper and colored pencils and things like that. I'll send a image that I took at ETH Portland last year they did a really cool thing where they just did like the ETH PDX font, and they let people draw it in, like color it in. And that could be cool if you pre-print squares that say Panvala on them and stamps, and then people could like fill them in themselves how they wanted to. People get quite creative. And then maybe you can even get a stamp for doing that activity where it's like, cool, here, thank you, hang it up, here's your stamp. Yeah, sweet.
We were actually thinking about how we could like make them digital, like how people could make a stamp but then have it be like a digital stamp at the same time. We haven't figured it out yet, but we were just throwing around ideas yesterday and that came up as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's probably easy to mint an NFT on your phone anymore, right? Like, but it would be a one of one. Yeah, maybe some more thinking around that. If you want, ask Isaac from Logos. He's like the most tech savvy person I know that would be able to figure out how to make something physical digital instantly. But yeah, I love that idea. I'm all for it. Just do me a favor and get as much information to me as soon as possible so I can plan and organize and prepare like the resources that you might need.
We will get that to you today. Looking forward to it.
Awesome. I'm dropping the image right now in the Telegram group. So you can use that as a reference point.
Thank you. Any other questions any other questions about Logo Stamp before I'm going to have Esther talk about her community? So Cheo is asking, will there be meetings with communities to claim stamps? And I'm guessing that that's in reference to like real life meetings. We are planning the side event at what looks like right now a Cuban restaurant that's 3 blocks away from the main event. And we are hoping to have some kind of like interaction with stamps there, Cheo. So whether that's like, doing the actions to get stamps or signing up to be a part of Panvala, like a community stamp-a-thon. I don't know. Those are good ideas. Miran, what do you think?
Yeah, so in Denver, there's nothing currently planned to like meet for the existing communities that are already part of Panvala and any communities that are like attending MCon itself. We definitely want to talk to people from those communities. But in terms of like meetings with communities, like the ones that we do across our network right now, like we went to the Shenanigan community and met with them, talked to them about stamps, Giveth, Gitcoin, etc. I don't think we're planning on doing any of those in person in Denver, but we definitely want to do like that is a core part of what we do, meeting with communities to show them how to collect stamps, show them the benefits of collecting stamps, etc. So that's definitely something that we want to do. Since Chio is a Spanish speaker, I'm going to try to put some form of that answer into text, translate it, and drop it into the chat. But yeah, like meetings with communities are kind of core to make this movement work, in my opinion.
Thanks for the questions. Esther, are you ready to talk about your community? Social Innovation Academy? Looks like your mic went off again. Okay, Nira, maybe let's give her some more time. Do you want to talk about why we're doing stamps? Big why?
I will do that. So let me get my screen up and running, and then I'll share it. So you've heard a little bit about some of the stamps that are available and some of like the mechanics of how stamps actually work. I wanted to give people a little bit more context on like how stamps fit into the broader movement that we're trying to organize, what change we're trying to make happen in the world, and what that looks like really step by step along the way. So the one thing that people hear about in crypto a lot is that crypto will change the world. There's this kind of energy where people are like, oh, there's this new technology, there's this new blank slate, and using this new technology to decentralize different platforms or whatever it is, that what comes out of this movement, that what comes out of this technological movement is going to change the world. And I fundamentally believe that. It's hard to, and it's kind of an embarrassing thing to say out in the public, especially when they've seen NFTs of cartoon apes, and you're trying to tell them how some technology tied to that is going to change the world. Like, people have heard too many things about crypto that are, not good for the general message to land that this is actually a world-changing technology. So, but to really get across why I believe what I believe, it's not because the technology can change the world. It's literally because you are going to change the world. Like, I believe that this technology is fundamentally for moving people. And what Panvala is at its core is a mass movement to change how value flows in our economy. And so I don't think it's that the technology is going to magically do something. I think it's that you are going to do something, the communities that you're part of are going to do something, and that's going to change the world. And that's the story of every change that's happened throughout our society. It's really just people changing the world. It's not some technology doesn't change the world by itself. That's not how it works. So to get an idea of the change that we're trying to make, one framing that you can use is that, like, when there are problems, when there are big problems that the world faces, there's kind of two framings that people end up with when it comes to like solving them. Sometimes people are like, oh, I'm going to win an election and I'm going to solve that problem. I'm either going to be the politician myself or my party or like the people I support. Like, my people can solve this problem. And then you get control of the government. You use that to make progress on the problem. And a lot of the times it works. It's hard to win elections, but if you can get control of the government, get the government to do the thing that you think it needs to do, that works a lot of the time. Another way people try to solve problems, they're like, oh, I'm going to start a company and my company is going to solve this problem. So whether it's like providing a better product to people, or whether it's some people are like, oh, I'm going to create a green technology company that's going to make climate change better, things like that. You can start a company as a way of solving problems, and that can work a lot of the time. But what we want to make clear to more and more people is that there's a third framing, a way to think about how to solve problems. It's not new, it's something that people have done for a very long time, but it's currently not the first thing that comes to mind when it comes to solving problems. And that third way to solve problems is that you can grow a community to solve the problems that you face. You don't have to win an election to solve problems. You don't have to start a company. You can come together with the people you like, doing the things you like, and solve the problems in the way you agree on with the resources that you have available. That is the way that so many problems have been solved in the past. So much of the story about American democracy in particular is not really a story of the government coming in and solving problems. It's the story of people creating their own organizations run by the people who are part of them to build hospitals, build schools, build roads, like whatever it is that the community needs to get done, just coming together and solving that problem with the people who feel that problem and with the people who agree on a way to solve it. That's one way to approach this problem. But right now, communities don't really have a lot of resources. Those resources in our society go to companies and they go to our government. They don't go to people sitting around in a circle trying to figure out how to solve problems with their friends. That's just not the way our society currently works. But if we could drive more resources to communities who come together to do the thing they like with the people they like, we could solve two things. We could drive more resources to that third way of solving problems, so we could solve way more of them. But we could also have people enjoy their lives more by being able to drive more resources to community life, like the people that we actually live our lives with, the people who are around when we graduate from school, or when we have a child, when we get a new job, whatever, the people who celebrate those milestones with us, those are the people that we should have more resources to do life with. So we can solve more problems and we can enhance our quality of life by driving more resources to community life. But to do that, if we don't have the economic resources to make that happen, we really need something that feels like an endowment, something that isn't the profit coming from a company, something that isn't the taxes coming from a government, but that something that feels more like the resources that you have available flowing to your community. That's something that we want every community to be able to tap into. We want every community to feel that they have more resources at their disposal to solve the problems that they see in the way they want to solve them and to enhance their own quality of life. What we believe in Panvala is that that endowment already exists. It's just being misallocated. That endowment is every dollar you see spent in our economy on marketing. every company that's trying to get more customers in the door, spending money, and that money is often going to middlemen. It's being misallocated because it's going to Facebook, it's going to Google, it's going to people who own giant billboards, it's going to television networks. It's not going into the communities that you and I are part of. And that's what we can fix. That's what we can change by organizing as many communities as possible and showing them how to shift value in our economy. So that's what our movement is about. What Panvala really is at the end of the day is a way to create a community endowment for everyone. So if you want to get an idea of what that might feel like, think about what you would use that endowment for if it existed. How would you spend that value that we shift away from those marketing middlemen, that every dollar in our economy is spent on marketing, a lot of it's being captured by these people when it's really spent to change our behavior. How would you spend it? Maybe you would preserve our climate for generations to come. You'd make progress on solving climate change so we wouldn't have the hottest summer that's ever been had where I live in Austin, Texas. Maybe you spend resources to make that happen. Maybe you might use the resources to make housing in our cities affordable for all kinds of people. We want to make sure that all communities have an endowment that they can use that to make that happen. Maybe you want to make sure that people can have a high quality education without crippling debt. Our movement is designed to give you the resources to do that. But maybe there's not some do-gooder cause that you and your community are organized around. At the end of the day, our movement is about driving more resources to community life to increase the quality of life within the communities that you spend time with. So even if you just want to create great events and spaces to bring your community together, that is a part of this movement. We want to drive more resources to community life, to solve problems, and to increase the quality of life within all the communities across our society. So what it looks like to really reclaim this endowment is what I've described to you with Panvala stamps. Panvala stamps are the mechanism that we use to move this movement forward. Anytime there's a stamp that's being collected by someone, that's a piece of this endowment, a piece of all the marketing dollars spent in our economy, moving from, instead of going to a middleman, it's going to a community instead. So each time you collect a stamp, you're making a dent in that existing system where middlemen can capture this value, and you're shifting it to communities instead. That is what this movement looks like. It's not a movement about votes. It's not a movement about anything else. It's not a movement about marches. Like the collective action that we do together is collecting stamps, and that's what makes this shift happen. So again, you already know a lot about stamps, but the quickest summary is that they're NFTs that fund your community when you collect them. You claim the stamps when you take an action that the business is trying to get you to do, whether it's signing up for a newsletter, listening to their podcast, making a purchase, whatever it is they're trying to get you to do, that's how you claim the stamp. And then you can redeem it for the face value with any community you choose. This model is not brand new. There's already ways that this pattern plays out in our society. If you think of the Box Tops for Education marketing program in the United States, it's basically a cereal company that wants parents to buy their cereal. So what they say to parents is that when you see all those cereals on the shelf, you ignore all the other ones, just buy the General Mills cereals. That's the company. And they say, if you buy our cereal and you cut off the top of the box and you take that top of the box to the school that your kid is in, we will fund your kid's school. And what they're doing with that is they're literally giving parents control over their marketing budget to take to a community they want to spend that money in. That is how we think every marketing dollar should be spent in our economy. Like, that to us is the revolutionary thing, having marketing dollars flow to communities rather than flowing to middlemen. It's been done. It's just that we want to do it not just for schools, but for any kind of community. Not just for cereal, but literally any kind of interaction in our economy. And not with cardboard, but with NFTs. That's what we're doing with Panvala stamps. The stamps in this model are like that cardboard box top that you're cutting off, collecting, and taking to the school. That's what Panvala stamps are at the end of the day. So I think most of the rest of what I have in these slides is things you already know, because you've heard about the logo stamp. A lot of you have collected stamps already. So I'm not going to go into too much detail on what the stamps are, because we've covered that a little bit. But basically, the best next step is, if you haven't really collected stamps yet, definitely go to panvala.com/stamps. And that's where the 4 active campaigns, the three campaigns here, as well as the Logos DAO stamp, you can go and collect those. Again, they have different face values. The face value, again, does not go to you. It's not a speculative NFT. It's something that you take to your community to be able to fund your community. So we want you to collect as many stamps as possible. That's what our movement is all about. And at the end of the day, and when our work is done, anytime you're taking an action in our economy, like anytime you're getting a receipt because you made a purchase, you're getting a stamp that funds your community at the same time. That's the world that we're trying to build. So every community can feel like it has an endowment, just resources that it can draw from that aren't coming from your own pocket, but are coming from the value you're already creating in our economy, but it's being captured by middlemen. We want to shift all of that to the communities that you're a part of and dramatically increase the budget of every single community across our society. So you can also sponsor if you're part of a company that wants to spend your marketing budget within the communities your customers are in. Shoot us an email at stamps@panvala.com, and we want to work with you to make this happen. So we've already seen that it's more effective than most marketing methods out there because, again, if the people within a community telling people about the product that you're using because you're funding their community and they want their community members to interact with them more. It's a kind of a magical thing to watch play out. And we want your business to be part of that magic. So shoot us an email at stamps@panvala.com to make that happen. So that's the quick overview of really what's like the bigger context of stamps. We really want to get as many communities, as many people as possible collecting stamps from as many businesses as possible to shift every dollar that's currently being spent in marketing into the communities across our society, the ones you and I are part of, the ones you and I aren't part of. Like we want every single person to be able to benefit from being able to access more of the value that is really being spent on them. They should be able to take it where they want it to go. That's our movement. That's Panvala, and I'm glad you're all a part of it.
Thanks, Niran. I just wanted to add, we actually have another campaign that's not ready to go yet, but since Ripley's here, I just wanted to acknowledge that, and that'll be up and running very soon. The other thing I wanted to mention is if we are reaching out to every community in our network, asking to join in on a community call or town hall to talk about this with your community. If you want us to come sooner rather than later, you can reach out to us too, because we do have a long list to work through. Or if it's a community that's not a part of our network, we're happy to talk to them as well. It seems like Esther's microphone is working. So I would like to send it over to Esther. Just let me know when you're ready, Esther. But does anyone have any questions about anything Niran talked about? Okay, Esther, are you ready to talk about your community, Social Innovation Academy? Seems like you're having technical issues, and we can always have you join again if that's easier for you. Yeah, we can connect Esther over email again. Anything else, Niran, you want to say?
I think that's it for now. One thing I wanted to, two things I wanted to put on people's radar. Again, there's another stamp campaign coming this week from Generous AF. We're excited to have another stamp campaign to be able to share with you. So be on the lookout for that. And then again, our quarterly releases from Panvala's treasury happen once a quarter, every 13 weeks. And the last one happened July 29th, this past Friday. So we're currently in the process of allocating that release to communities based on the stamps they collected and based on the amount that they've staked. Basically the previous model, if you've been involved with Panvala for a while, you're familiar with the staking. If you're not familiar with it, basically the stamps that you've been collecting are about to be paid out this week. So be on the lookout for more information about that. We're going to send you an account statement with all the information about the stamps your community collected, the amount you've earned, and all that material is headed your way this week. So I think that's it from me. But again, I think the work that's happening within Panvala to be able to direct more value to the communities that we all love being part of is kind of the most important work that we can really be doing. There's so many problems that people are facing that they don't see a solution to. I believe communities are the solution to them. There's so much tension people feel, especially in the American political system, where they feel this urgent need to defeat their enemies to solve their problems. And again, I don't think that's the path forward. I think it's making sure that as many people as possible can get what they want. And the path to doing that is, again, within communities who get what they want by default. If you don't get what you want, you choose a different community. So like, to me, the way out of so many of the problems that we face is really through the communities that we're a part of. So the work that you're doing within your communities to build those social relationships, to have a good time with one another, and again, to solve problems when they need to be solved, like I really think is the most important work that can be done right now. So thanks for the work that you do. Thanks for being a part of this movement, and looking forward to working with you to dramatically increase the budgets of every community across our society. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Niran. Thank you everyone for coming. We'll see you next month.